Being that I'm sure that this will come up, figured I'd speak about this right now. I wanted to speak of a specific sound which has different names, yet triggers the same feeling. And being that it's felt, it is attributed a thought. And to remember that thought, one in pretending creates symbols for one to remember that thought. So the sensation of thought felt by sound is the sound time. 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 I wanted to go about trying to understand what is time, or what time is. What time is? I guess that'll be the real question. What time is? Because what time is, to ask it that way would appear it as a form of abstraction. So I figured we'd try to understand what time is from the position of what one is. So let's remember as one, when one was being told what time is. And personally, I haven't explained what time is to anyone, but some that pretend explain time to the child, and I just question if the one in pretend explaining time to a child, if they really felt convinced in themselves that they relayed what time is. And I question, if one was to explain what time is, if one who felt that they explain what time is effectively also simultaneously came to the understanding that there is no time. It's almost as if one had to understand that there is no time to use time effectively. Especially when there is no time. Now, there'd probably be a good question for parents to ask themselves. Well, how did you? Hey, I was just curious. How did you get your child to believe in time? Because I'm not sure if we got through. I'm not sure if we broke through. Because I still don't really know what time is. Though I still follow it. I don't. But then how could I follow something that I don't really know what it is? Like, if I'm going to be honest with myself, how could I say that I explain time to my child when I don't even believe in it? And even if I were to acknowledge time, I figured it'd be no different than a tool. Something to use when one needs to. And I suppose if one was to just believe in time without acknowledging it, or trying to come to an understanding if time is actual through one's ordinary process of reasoning. I'm curious if one would come to the conclusion that there is no time. Because if there is no time, then why would one live their life in relation to time? If one created time as a tool, why would one limit themselves to the thing that they've created? I guess we could play pretend and say, well, how do we know what time is? Well, some will probably say that it's because of the sun. So you're saying depending on the sun determines what? It determines what time of day is. Yeah, but what is time? Like, what are you trying to say? Well, I'll just give an example. Okay, yes, please provide me with an abstraction. Let's say we are now. Yes, we are now. And I want to meet you now, but not right now. Okay, I could follow that. But to fulfill this and to play with right now and use time, I will say that I will meet you tomorrow here now at the same time at 10:30. And then when we play with time, I'll see you now, right now at 10:30. Right, but why would we need to do that? Oh, it's 'cause it's fun. Okay, it's fun, but there's no time in now. Yes, but we could pretend that there's time in now, right? Yeah, sure. I mean, that's impossible. But I mean, yeah, I could believe in time right now, but that's not possible, right? Yes, I know as well that's not possible. Okay. So I feel like out of that game of pretend, if one was to use time, one couldn't be right now, one would be in the past. Because there is no now in time. So by being in the past, one stays in the past and one repeats this thought in the past of time. Probably to a point where one would forget that there is a right now. And all there is now. Like, how do you explain this to a child who already knows that there is no time and now? Like, what's the utility of explaining time to a child besides perpetuating the game of pretend, which plays in time, which is always in the past? So what if teaching our children, so what if teaching the child, so what if teaching oneself that time is actual and all there is and all there will be? Would one forget that there is now? And now is all there is. Right, but we have to think about tomorrow. So if somebody says we have to think about tomorrow. Well, why? Why do we have to think about tomorrow if now is all there is? Like, how do you think of the future? There is no future, of course. The future is a interesting thing to play with. It appears that when playing I think that's possibly one of the qualities of time is the future. So when one is no longer now, one plays in time. And of course, when playing in time, one plays in the past because there is no now in time. So when playing in the past, while in time, one will probably say, you know what? This is getting exhausting. We should do something about this right now, but there is no now. So we must do something in time. We'll do it in time. So let's try and do this in time. This is getting pretty scary and dangerous. Let's try to do this in time. Let's try to do this in time. Let's try to do this in time. Hey, can you do this in time? Yeah, I can do this in time. Hey, man, will you be able to do this in time? Yeah, I can do this in time. So now one in time creates future. But there is no future because future is a theory because nobody has ever experienced the future. No one has experienced this future, so how do we get information about the future? Well, some will say, well, we get information about the future from what happened in the past. Right. I guess my question is, if one believes in time and thinks things can be done in time, what if time is creating the issue? Because in time one cannot see what they need to, and for one to see they have to be in now to observe right now. To observe, you have to observe right now. What you can't observe in time. You have to observe right now. If you observe in time, you're going to be pretending forever. That's clear. We've been pretending for such a long time in time, using time to fix time. So if one is to see time, therefore now, then maybe things will be easier to assess because one would be doing it right now and not in time.